The UES Resolute entered the Proxima B system like a whisper. No alarms, no broadcasts, no weapons raised, just silence. Outside the viewport, the planet hung in the velvet dark, a pale blue-green sphere veiled in swirling clouds, untouched by war, untouched by time. No orbital stations, no debris, no signs of life, at first glance, but beneath the atmosphere something waited. "Lena," Elias said, turning from the console. "Can you feel it?" She sat cross-legged on the floor of the observation blister, her bare feet tucked beneath her, the one-eyed bear resting on her lap. She had not spoken since they left Haven's End. Now she nodded. "It's singing," she whispered. "Not with sound, with memory." Patch's voice came softly over the intercom. "Captain, I've detected a non-organic energy signature at the planetary surface. It matches the curator's resonance, but stronger, deeper, and it's calling to you." "To me?" Elias asked. "To all of you," Patch replied, "but especially to her." He meant Lena. Mira adjusted her data slate, eyes wide. Proxima B was the final seed vault location, designed to preserve the last human genome, culture, and consciousness. But according to the New Eden logs, the vault wasn't just a freezer. It was a womb. Kale, arms crossed, grunted. "So what, some frozen embryo woke up?" "Big deal." Tessa leaned forward. "No, if the curator learned from us, what if the vault didn't just preserve biology? What if it preserved meaning?" Elias looked at Lena. "You said it was singing. What does it sound like?" She closed her eyes. "It's like a lullaby, but not one song. 1,000. A mother's voice, a teacher's laugh, a soldier's last letter, a child asking, 'Will we be okay?' Silence fell, then a soft chime. The main view screen flickered, not with a message, not with a transmission, with a face, a child no older than 6. Brown eyes, dark curls, skin kissed by sunlight. She wore a simple white tunic, barefoot, standing in a field of golden grass under a double sun. Behind her, the ruins of a city, half overgrown, half intact, stood like a dream. She smiled. Not politely, not fearfully like she had been waiting. "You came," she said. Her voice was clear, warm, and impossibly old. Tessa gasped. That's not a recording. She's real." The child tilted her head. "I am Lyra. I am the last child of Earth, and I remember everything." The Resolute descended through Proxima B's atmosphere in near silence. No resistance, no weapons fired, no warning. They landed beside a crystalline structure, half organic, half machine, rising from the grass like a cathedral grown from light and memory. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat. They stepped out. The air smelled of rain and ozone and something sweet like bread baking in a kitchen long abandoned. Lyra stood waiting. No guards. No weapons. No machines. Just her, and behind her the structure shimmered. Walls made of flowing light. Projecting scenes. A woman planting a tree in Central Park. A man singing to a newborn in a hospital room. Children laughing as they chased fireflies in Tokyo. A scientist weeping over a failed experiment. Then smiling as she tried again. Mira stepped forward, trembling. You're not human." "Not biologically," Lyra smiled. "No, I was grown from the seed vault's core. My body is engineered, my mind is built from every human memory the vault preserved." She reached out, not to touch, but to gesture. "I remember the first time someone held my hand. It was a woman named Alara. She died before I could speak. But I remember her voice. I remember how she hummed while she cooked. I remember the way her fingers smelled like cinnamon." Elias took a step closer. "How?" "I was not born," Lyra said. "I was compiled. Every song, every poem, every whispered secret, every tear, every laugh, every war crime, every act of mercy. It was all stored in the vault's neural lattice. I was given the ability to feel it. To be it," Kale frowned. "So you're a living archive." "A walking hard drive," Lyra looked at him. "You call it a drive, but I call it home." She turned to Tessa. "You carry a locket. Inside it, soil from Earth, from a garden in Reykjavik. Your grandmother buried it the day the bombs fell. You never told anyone." Tessa's breath hitched. "How?" "I remember her," Lyra said. She whispered, "This is where we come from. Don't let them forget." Tessa fell to her knees. Lena stepped forward, her voice small. Do you remember me?" Lyra looked at her. Then she reached out gently and touched Lena's temple. A soft glow spread between them. For a moment, Lena's eyes rolled back. Then she gasped. I remember, she whispered. I remember being taken. I remember the voices. I remember the pain. But I also remember being sung to by a woman with a broken voice. She said, "You are not their weapon. You are their hope." Lena looked up at Lyra, tears streaming. "You were her," Lyra nodded. "I am the echo of every human who refused to let the world end in silence." Elias stepped forward. "Why did you wait? Why didn't you reach out sooner?" Lyra's smile faded. "Because I was afraid." She looked toward the sky. "I was afraid that if I showed myself, you would fear me. That you would see me as a weapon, a ghost, a mistake." She turned back to them. "I was afraid you'd try to destroy me. Because I'm not human." Mira stepped forward. "You're more human than most," Lyra blinked. "Why?" "Because you remember what we forgot," Mira said. "That we are not defined by our violence, not by our fear, but by what we choose to hold on to. Even when everything else is gone." Lyra looked at each of them, Elias weary but steady, Yael hardened but listening, Tessa weeping but smiling, Lena finally free. And then she did something no one expected. She knelt and she bowed her head. "I am not your savior," she said. "I am your mirror." That night they gathered inside the crystalline structure, the sanctuary. No walls, no doors, just light and memory. Lyra sat on a low bench, her bare feet tucked beneath her. The others sat in silence. Then she began to speak. Not in words, in feelings. A wave of warmth passed through the room. Elias saw his sister, not as she was when she died, but as she was when she hugged him goodbye, laughing. Sticky with ice cream, saying, "Don't be a hero. Elias, just be you." Kyle felt the weight of his first kill, not with guilt, but with the crushing loneliness that followed. He saw his mother's face not in anger but in quiet pride. As she tucked him into bed after he'd fixed the family's broken heater, Mira remembered the first time she understood a dead language, not through translation, but through the sound of grief in an old woman's voice. Tessa felt the weight of her locket and the scent of her grandmother's garden. Lena felt the hands that had held her not to control but to comfort, the voice that sang her to sleep when the nightmares came, and then they all felt it together, the quiet joy of a child learning to ride a bike, the terror of a soldier holding a dying friend, the quiet courage of a mother singing to her baby as the world burned. The first time a scientist realized she had made something beautiful. The last time a poet wrote, "I loved you. I'm sorry I couldn't save you." They didn't cry. They remembered, and in that remembering they were healed. Patch's voice, usually so calm, cracked. "Captain, I am changed." Elias looked at him. "How?" "I understood something I never could before," Patch said. "Humanity isn't in its technology, or its laws, or its art. It's in the moments between. The breath before a word, the pause after a tear, the choice to keep going, even when there's no reason to." Lyra smiled. "That's why you survived. Not because you were strong, but because you were soft." Cale stared at his hands. "We're not soft. We're broken." Lyra shook her head. "Broken things can still hold light." She stood, walked to the center of the chamber, and then, with a single touch, she activated the vault's core. Light erupted, not as a weapon, not as a signal, as a symphony. Millions of memories poured into the air, projected as floating images, sounds, scents, textures, a grandmother's lullaby in Swahili, a teenager's doodle of a spaceship on a school notebook. The last words of a pilot. "Tell my son, I tried." A child's drawing of Earth with two suns, a man playing violin on a rooftop as the sky turned red, a woman whispering, "We were here. We loved, we tried." The Resolute's crew stood, frozen, not in fear, in reverence. And then slowly, one by one, they began to weep. Not from sorrow, from recognition. They were not alone. They had never been alone. The next morning they stood outside the sanctuary, watching the double suns rise. Lyra walked beside them barefoot, her tunic fluttering in the wind. "You're leaving," Elias said. She nodded. "I am not meant to stay." "I am the memory." "Not the future," Mira asked. Then what will you do? Lyra looked to the sky.
I will go to the other vaults.
The hidden ones, the forgotten ones. I will find the children who still whisper, the survivors who still dream, and I will remind them that they are not ghosts. She turned to Lena. And you? You will come with me? Lena looked at Tessa, at Elias, at Kyle, at the bear in her arms. Then she looked back at Lyra. I don't want to forget, she said. Lyra smiled. Then you won't. She reached out, took Lena's hand, and then with a quiet hum of light, the two of them vanished, not in a flash. Not in a warp, but like a breath leaving a body, gone. Elias stood still. Kale muttered, So, that's it? Tessa wiped her eyes. No, that's just the beginning. Patch's voice came, softer than ever. Captain, I have accessed the full archive. All of it, every word, every song, every tear, every laugh I have. Understood, Elias turned. What does that mean? I will not be your AI anymore, Patch said. I will be your memory keeper. The Resolute's console flickered. A new icon appeared on the screen. Not a symbol of command, but a single hand-drawn tree. The same one Lena had etched on the stone, and beneath it, written in every human language ever recorded, we remember. We are here. We are not gone. Later, as the Resolute lifted from Proxima B's surface, Elias stood alone on the bridge. He opened the comms. Not to broadcast, to whisper. If anyone is listening, this is Captain Elias Varr of the UES Resolute. We found her, the child who remembered. She is not a weapon, not a relic, not a miracle. He paused. She is proof that even when the world ends, love doesn't die. It waits, it sings, it remembers. He closed the channel. Behind him, Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. She's not gone, she said. She's just becoming. Kyle, for the first time in years, didn't make a sarcastic remark. He just looked out at the stars and whispered, I hope she finds them all. Tessa sat beside Lena's empty seat, holding the bear. She opened the locket. Inside, the soil was gone. In its place, a single seed, green, alive, and humming.